Every time I turn on Shovel Knight, I'm just so impressed with Yacht Club Games. The base game was already brilliant, but then the studio added 3 full new campaigns for free. I loved the second of the extra campaigns which had you control the agile Spectre Knight, so I was very excited about this final piece of content, the King of Cards expansion. In this DLC you control King Knight, and follow his journey to become a true king by beating 3 other real kings. The game is split into different areas with maps, kind of like the original Shovel Knight map, which itself was kind of like Super Mario 3's overworld maps. And King Knight goes through the world taking on platforming levels, fighting other bosses, playing Joustus against other NPCs in order to grow his deck, until he finally reaches one of the kings. The mix between traditional platforming levels and playing Joustus was super effective, with levels much shorter this time round. I didn't find myself getting bored, because you're constantly changing up what you're doing, including tackling some mini bonus puzzle levels to get extra loot, or facing off with optional bosses. I really enjoyed how the game mixes all the activities so you're not just doing one long level after another. When I started playing, I didn't enjoy how King Knight controlled. Shovel Knight controls like a traditional 8-bit Mega Man or Castlevania character from the NES generation, and Spectre Knight was much faster with more fluid movements. King Knight is totally different. He doesn't jump very high, but he shoulder barges in mid-air, which can then take him over a chasm, and if he hits an enemy or a wall with his shoulder barge, then he launches upwards, which allows him to reach higher platforms. I found it awkward and tricky to get my head around at first, but I started to appreciate how he moves as the game progressed. Yacht Club Games is just great at introducing a game's mechanic, letting you get a feel for it, and then really testing you on it. There were moments in the game when I found it pretty tough, almost like I was fighting the controls, but then I realized what I was doing wrong, and managed to get past the obstacle. Those moments actually made me appreciate the controls even more, because I realized King Knight's moveset was a lot more versatile than I originally thought. Through the game you collect medals and money, and you use them to buy new cards for Joustus, new skills, extra health, or extra skill points. King Knight's moveset expands as you buy new skills, and I found it was worth spending time going through levels collecting as much loot as possible, and playing Joustus against every NPC to earn enough money and medals to buy new skills. So I've mentioned Joustus a few times. It's a very interesting card game, and I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it. It seems very simplistic when you start playing, but it becomes pretty complex. In terms of how you play, there are gems on a board, and you place cards on the board in order to capture the gems. You need to use the arrows on your cards to try to shift your cards onto a gem and move enemy cards away from them. It was actually pretty tough at times, especially against bosses where they have special abilities that they can use. Fortunately, you can buy cheats which can be used and rebought to make matches easier, like changing all the enemies' cards to rubbish ones, or giving yourself multiple turns in a row. If you win, you can choose one of your opponent's cards that they used during the match, and add it to your deck. But if you lose, they can take one of your cards. It made every match feel a bit dangerous, and made me hesitate at times using my best cards, in case I lost them. While I preferred the regular 2D platforming levels, I found myself engrossed with playing Joustus, and trying to figure out how to beat the foes. Story-wise, King Knight's DLC is much more fun and light-hearted than Shovel Knight and Spectre Knight. He's a guy that dreams of becoming a king, but in reality just dresses up as a king while living with his mum. It was quite funny at times, especially seeing his mum flirting with another character, and it builds up a fun cast of characters around King Knight. As you'd expect, the graphics and music are brilliant. The style and look haven't changed since the original game's release, but that's fine with me because it's just perfect. If you've already bought Shovel Knight, then you get this content for free. If you haven't bought Shovel Knight, then I can't recommend it enough. It was already a must-buy title, and this extra piece of content just makes it even more worthwhile. Get it, it's just awesome. So guys, have you played King of Cards? And what's your favourite Shovel Knight campaign? Leave a comment below, and as always, thanks for watching.